Hi everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Literature of Faith and Doubt. As always, I'm your host Georgia Wallin, and today we'll be exploring the themes of faith and doubt in William Blake's poem The Tiger, which examines the creation and creator of a tiger, the tiger being representative of a greater evil. William Blake lived from 1757 to 1827 and lives a very eccentric and spiritual life, from seeing visions of God putting his head to the window at age 4, to seeing his past brother Robert's spirit leaving his body clapping for joy later in life. It's no wonder that Blake's poems often explored the metaphysical world. But Blake, unlike many poets from early on in the Romantic era, often explored the injustices of the physical world as well. Blake was born in London and grew up and worked during the Industrial Revolution, a time of radical change, disrupt, and poverty. Blake was an engraver by trade and a talented painter, but started writing poetry at age 12. In Blake's collection of poems, Songs of Experience, he explores deeply the themes of faith and doubt. Faith is defined as complete trust or confidence in someone or something, and doubt as a feeling of uncertainty or lack of conviction. The poem that we will be analysing today, The Tiger, is from Songs of Experience, and although without faith there is no doubt, the tiger looks much deeper into the latter. It is unsurprising that Blake wrote about doubt more than faith, as at the time many men, women and children were dying in extreme poverty, and child labour was rife in the cities due to the Industrial Revolution. And yet, the church at the time was just getting richer and richer. Many people at the time, most likely including Blake, were doubting their faith in God, and how he could let such bad things happen in the world. These doubts are the foundation of The Tiger, a poem that's purpose, I believe, is to encourage critical thinking, questions and doubts about their faith, rather than just blind faith. The Tiger explores the main theme of doubt by essentially being a question itself, as the entire poem is a question. What being could possibly make something so evil and fearsome as a tiger? Although the tiger isn't actually a tiger. Rather, it is a greater evil, which some may interpret as the sorrow of Blake's era, poverty, in the Industrial Revolution, but others believe the great evil that the tiger is representing is the great evil itself, the devil. Unlike one of Blake's other poems, The Lamb, which starts as a question and answers itself towards the end. Although, in The Tiger, Blake appears to have no answers, and his unanswered question furthermore gives us a feeling of uncertainty and unknown, as the poem keeps asking, who is the creator? Why would they make this? How could they possibly make this? Just giving us more and more questions, instead of any answers, embodying the theme of doubt. The Tiger has 6 stanzas, each with 5 lines. Stanza 1 and 6 are an AABC rhyming scheme, and stanzas 2 through 5 have an AABB pattern. One of the most impacting poetic devices used in The Tiger is the intense imagery used throughout. For example, in stanza 2, line 2, burnt the fire of thine eyes. This use of imagery shows us that the tiger is fearsome, and that his eyes are burning with rage, passion, or pure evil. Fire also connotes the devil and hell, which further convinces us to believe that the tiger is evil, therefore giving us more doubt as to how and why God would and could create such a creature. Another example of a poetic device in the poem is the use of personification in stanza 5, lines 1 and 2, which say, when the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears. These lines are essentially saying that when the stars saw the tiger, they threw down their weapons and wept from heaven. This then conveys to the audience that the tiger, or evil, is so terrible that even the great stars threw down their otherworldly weapons and wept, not believing that God would make such a creature. And finally, the last poetic device I'd like to point out is the use of repetition of the first stanza, as it reappears at the end with just one word changed. In the last stanza, instead of the fourth line being, could frame thy fearful symmetry, it is changed to, dare thy fearful symmetry, showing us that by the end of the poem we understand that this great entity was able to make such a terrible evil. But why? Which brings up arguably the most frequent doubt people have about God. Why did he create evil? This train of thought just shows how effective the use of repetition, imagery, and personification are in the poem to further drill in the theme of doubt. The cultural context of the tiger, as mentioned before, is Industrial Revolution era England. Blind faith was the buzzword for the church when it came to making money during the Industrial Revolution, as many people simply poured their money into their local churches, hoping and praying that because of their offering, God would bless them with a job, shelter, and safety. Therefore, Blake's point of view of promoting critical thinking and doubt in the tiger was a rather uncommon view to hold at that time. Although it was needed, as Blake mentions in another of his poems, The Chimney Sweeper, many parents would send their kids off to clean chimneys for money and ultimately to their death, whilst they prayed in an exquisitely built church. Although in this day and age, I don't believe that this kind of doubt is needed, as far less people have as much blind faith as they did back then. With the internet and increasingly faster delivering of news, we are aware of many more tragedies and injustices than ever before. And in fact, today I believe we need quite a bit more faith than doubt. Blake's point of view expressed in the tiger, which was to promote critical thinking and doubt rather than blind faith, is warranted in his time period, but it is rather unhelpful in our own. Rather, I think we need to have a little more faith in God, as although he has created evil, he has also created some incredible goodness. So even though we may have our doubts, sometimes we just need to have a little faith. I'm Georgia Wallin, and this has been another episode of the Literature of Faith and Doubt. Good night.